All right. So, bro, guys, game on.
All right, welcome aboard week 2. Thank you guys for joining us. Me and Deb did this last week. We're going to try to tighten it down a little bit. We went through a lot of information. If you guys have any questions, feel free to drop them in the chat. I'll try to make comments and stuff in the chat as well, but just for timing purposes, if you put it in there, if it's something that we can interrupt and kind of like add in, we will, or otherwise we'll answer questions at the end. If you can stay for the whole thing, awesome. The brief overview, we are going through kind of our 8 pillars with conjunction with how it affects you if you're in pre, peri, post menopause. And so Deb's going to kind of go through what that means. When I say 8 pillars, we've found over the last 10 years kind of what are some effective habits for living a great life, right? And so that's universal when it comes to whether you're a man, a woman, whether you're young, old. These are pillars that you can build a foundation of to have health, fitness, wellness, longevity. And these are like what we call the big rocks or the important things. So that's what we are going to focus on. And then what we've done is as Deb's completed her menopause certification and with her experience, she's able to tie in what you might experience at these certain stages of life when you're going through either the pre, peri, post menopause, and how you can tailor sort of your fitness, your wellness, your weight loss, your mood, all these different experiences that you have to be able to customize them to get the best result, best bang for your buck. So without further ado, I'm going to hand over the mic to Deb. She's the pro. Obviously, I do not have a uterus, so I'm not qualified to speak on these subjects, but I do help her, or I've helped kind of with the outline over these 8 pillars. And so that's kind of where I am kind of am here for guidance as well. So, all right, Deb, take it away.
Thanks, Craig. Hello, everybody. Thanks for being here tonight and taking time after a work day to tune in. As Craig mentioned, I think a big part and the underlying message with everything we're going to talk about tonight really is about we don't have to be victim to this journey of menopause. And so many, I work in healthcare, I'm a nurse practitioner. I work in psychiatry. I see a lot of women, middle aged women from 40 to 55 years old for depression, for anxiety. And the majority of them are going through some phase of menopause. And they come to me and they tell me, that their primary care physician said, well, I told him I'm tired all the time. He's like, well, you're getting older. So, or, well, that's just part of menopause. And that's sort of the answer a lot of these primary care physicians are giving women. And it doesn't really make you feel great. And I have found through, knowledge, through the certification that I did, through working with lots and lots of women in my clinical practice, through being an athlete side by side with other women that are going through different stages of menopause, that there are a lot of ways to mitigate the symptoms. And we don't have to just fall victim and kind of throw our hands in the air and be like, okay, well, I guess I'm stuck with this belly fat. Oh, I guess I'm just gonna have to be tired all the time. We don't have to live our lives like that. So everything we're gonna talk about today I'm gonna throw some tips in there of some things that you can like be doing now to really help start mitigating some of those symptoms so that you can show up as your personal best every day, physically, mentally, emotionally. And that's really what this is about. Can you advance the slide, Craig? Thank you. So as Craig mentioned, these are the 8 pillars. We're going to start with talking about what is happening to my body. So what is this? Like you wake up one day and you're like, okay, well, that hurts. And wow, I'm tired. And wow, I got this extra belly fat roll that I can't get rid of. And we're doing all the things we used to do, but they're not working anymore. And so maybe we're working out just as much or we're eating like we've always used to and never had an issue with, weight around our middle, or fatigue was never a problem before. And all of a sudden, all these different things are happening to our body. So we're going to talk about what is happening to your body. Then we're going to just talk about the different hormones, how to talk to your doctor and get some labs done, what labs are meaningful, what labs aren't really that helpful, nutrition around pre, peri, and post menopause, sleep, mood and fatigue, exercise, water intake and hydration, supplements, and then tracking. So we can start by talking about what is happening to your body. Again, this is going to be just a high level overview of what's going on. Craig, can you go to the next slide? Thank you. So as I mentioned, there's the 3 different stages, right? There's pre-menopause, perimenopause, menopause, postmenopause, and you'll hear these words thrown around a lot. So premenopause really is from the time you get your period to the time that you start that transition towards menopause. So from the time you get your period to like really perimenopause starts. And then perimenopause really is that going to be that beginning of that transition towards menopause. So don't let this freak you out. But perimenopause can start 8 to 10 years before actually menopause sets in. So, but that doesn't mean you're going to be perimenopause for 8 to 10 years. So don't wig out because that's like, oh my God, I cannot do this for 8 to 10 years. The average time a woman is in perimenopause, and again, this is average, right? So there's people that are a little bit longer, people that are shorter duration, but the average time is about 4 years. And menopause typically hits around mid 40s, and there are outliers. Like I can tell you, I am 55. I did not start having any menopause symptoms till last year. So there's a range, of course, but if you want to look at like what's the average, it's mid 40s. And then perimenopause is that time from you start beginning the transition until you hit menopause, which is marked by your final menstrual period. And that's when reproduction pretty much shuts down, factories closed. And what menopause is identified as diagnostically, it's 12 months without a period. That's how it's diagnosed. Nothing fancy. You can get lab work to back that up, but once you've gone 12 months without a period, you're officially in menopause. And then postmenopause is anything after that. So 12 months without a period means literally a 12-month window where you have no period. And again, over that average of 4 years of perimenopause, you may have a period 1 month and then not get one for 4 months and think, okay, I'm on my way. And then your period shows up on month 5. So then kind of that cycle starts over again, that clock of those 12 months without a period. So those are just the different stages, just to provide some clarity around that. There's a lot of anatomical changes that our body goes through as we're going through these different stages. Your uterus is affected during perimenopause. You're going to have a change, as I mentioned, in your cycle. Your periods might get really heavy. They might be really light. You may have some spotting. You may have a period for 2 days, and then next 3 months later, you may have one for 8 days. And then you might have one in a week again after that. That's 2 days. It could be really all over the place. Also, you might have an increase or decrease in pelvic pain or inflammation. And then postmenopause, your uterus is smaller, and the lining of your uterus no longer thickens, and that's when your period stops. With your ovaries, no more follicles can ovulate once you're in menopause, and that's really all that happens in terms of your ovaries. With fallopian tubes in menopause, they're smaller, really no other changes with that. Cervix-wise, once you're in menopause, it's going to be smaller, tighter, which can also contribute to some discomfort with sexual intercourse that maybe you hadn't experienced before. And then from a vaginal standpoint, during menopause or when you're in menopause, there's going to be decreased estrogen, which we'll talk about in a second. And with the decreased estrogen, the lining is going to thin. You're going to have decreased blood flow, decreased secretions, which can also mean more vaginal dryness, which is a very common symptom in menopause and perimenopause as well. Craig, you want to go? Here we go. So we talk about hormones and labs. I'm going to talk about too, like how to advocate for yourself with your doctor and have some labs done that can be helpful in terms of just your general health and some of the different symptoms you're having. So with the hormonal shifts during menopause, the biggest ones are really going to be your estrogen, progesterone, and testosterone. Your estrogen is going to decrease, which actually the result of that is going to be your increased belly fat. So if you notice you got a little more fat around the middle, that's really hard to get rid of. You can thank your decreased estrogen for that one, and also decreased sex drive. And then as far as testosterone, our testosterone levels decrease as we age, and that's going to affect libido, can also affect the building and maintenance of our muscle mass and bones. So that's why we really talk a lot about why strength training is so important as we're going through, middle age and premenopause, perimenopause and postmenopause. That strength training is really, really important, especially too because we're going to be higher risk for osteoporosis as we age, making our bones are going to be more brittle, easier to break. So that's no fun. And then the other hormone is progesterone, and that's another one that you're going to see drop during your perimenopause and postmenopause phase. In terms of hormone replacement therapy, a lot of people ask, well, should I do hormone replacement therapy, and what are the risks? And, if you're on any of the Facebook pages out there now about menopause, or there's all different schools of thought and all kinds of literature to support it. And that a lot of literature out there that says, bad idea. That's really a very personal decision that you should really be having a conversation with your provider to talk about. And I would encourage you to see like an OBGYN, not a primary care physician, and also an OBGYN that really specializes in hormone replacement therapy. Because there's a lot of different options, and you want someone that can educate you on the different options so that you can make a really good informed choice if that's something that could be helpful for you. Labs that can be helpful. Oftentimes I was one of those people. I'm like, I'm getting my labs done because I think I'm in perimenopause and I want to know. And all the literature shows that there are labs that you can have drawn. You can check your estrogen level and different levels. However, your follicle stimulating hormone, your luteinizing hormone, you can check all those. I could go tomorrow morning and get those labs checked. And then I could go on Friday, 3 days later, and those labs could look vastly different because things fluctuate so much during that perimenopause period. So you can get the labs done, but unless you're for sure like post-menopause and you're in that stage, that's where the numbers will be more telling. But during perimenopause, they're kind of all over the place, and they're going to give you just that window on that day where your labs are really at. It's not going to, and where your hormones are at. It's not going to be super telling. But there are labs that can be helpful in terms of, why am I so tired? Why do my joints hurt? And my stress level's been really high. What's my cortisol level look like? So labs that can be really helpful. Vitamin D, like in dog, is really helpful because vitamin D is linked to depression. It's also linked to low energy. Your vitamin B6 and B12 levels will be affected and will be lower and can, if they're lower, can contribute to lower energy. So again, is it just menopause? No, maybe you have a vitamin deficiency somewhere that you can, again, help mitigate with some supplements or some vitamin water. Thyroid, super important. Getting a TSH, a T3, T4, like the whole panel. Those are really helpful as well. And then cortisol level, just to kind of see how much cortisol you've got, because that can also contribute to water weight gain. When our cortisol levels are high, we tend to retain more water. So that could also, just again, will tell you more about what's going on in your body than just getting your hormones drawn. So those are just some helpful labs. The thing is with the labs is you need to ask your doctor for them, because they're not just a standard. If you just go for your annual physical, most doctors don't just order those labs. Those are above and beyond just a basic panel of labs that are drawn. So you may have to ask for those. And so just as, being an informed patient, those are some labs that could be helpful. Iron level is another one, because if your iron level is low, you're going to be tired and fatigued. All right, moving on to nutrition. Next slide, please. So how you fuel your body is super, super important, because you need to meet your body's needs. I say it a lot, but you got to meet your body where it's at. And that means with nutrition too. So there's lots and lots of opportunities to address nutrition through the different phases and stages of menopause and just midlife in general. Macros is a great, I think, super easy way to track what you're putting in your body and making sure you're getting the right amount of protein, the right amount of fats, the right amount of carbohydrates. Interestingly, a lot of people don't know this, but low protein intake is directly related to depression. And we know depression is one of the symptoms of menopause. And so our body produces serotonin, which is the feel good neurotransmitter in our brain that we all want to have, make sure we have enough of so that our mood is generally good day to day. And our body depends on protein intake to be able to produce that serotonin because we produce that serotonin in our gut. Our gut can't produce that serotonin without us getting the right amount of protein. So just being protein deficient is going to have lots of implications for muscles and bones and things and energy level for sure, but also can have a direct impact on your mood. And as your hormones are all over the place, your mood's likely to be all over the place some days. And so doing what you can and making sure you're getting enough protein so that your body's producing enough serotonin is just one of those ways, again, that you can work to mitigate some of those depression symptoms. And then there's your fats and your carbohydrates and just making sure you have the right balance of those. Caffeine consumption is another one that really um, can really mess with your body. It can contribute to things like pelvic pain, which we already talked about, and oftentimes pelvic pain goes along with these perimenopause symptoms. Migraines and headaches, which are also some symptoms of perimenopause, and the fluctuations in hormones can cause migraines and headaches, and caffeine can contribute to that. Caffeine can also amp up your anxiety, can really play a factor in mood swings, obviously can be a contributing factor for sleep issues, and can also decrease our bone density. So caffeine isn't, I mean, I'm not saying a cup of coffee in the morning is bad, but you just have to really, I mean, I saw a patient today and she drinks a pot of coffee a day. So not good. And just really not helpful in terms of the different symptoms you might be experiencing going through perimenopause. Caffeine, another thing I'm just going to throw in there about caffeine. If you're a caffeine first thing in the morning person, good rule of thumb, hydrate before you caffeinate. So if I get out of bed in the morning, first thing I do is go get my coffee. I make grab my Keurig, my K-cup and make my coffee, or grab my thermos, whatever, go to Dunkin', whatever. When we go to bed at night, right, we're not drinking the whole night while we're sleeping. So we're dehydrated when we wake up in the morning. We're already waking up in a dehydrated state. And then many of us, first thing we do is grab caffeine in the morning, whether it be coffee, tea. Sometimes people drink soda pre-workout. And so what the caffeine does is it dehydrates you even more. So now if you think about it, if you get up in the morning, say 6 a.m., by 8 a.m., your body is starting the day in a very dehydrated state, which is going to impact your energy levels and have impact on a lot of other things. So good rule of thumb, right first thing in the morning, drink some water. I keep a big Yeti, like this big one, right next to my bed. First thing I do in the morning before I even get out of bed is I take a few sips of my water. I drag my Yeti in the bathroom while I'm doing my AM care. I'm drinking that. By the time I even get downstairs before I'm ready to walk out the door to the gym, I've probably had at least 12 to 16 ounces of water. And then I'll drink some more water on the way to the gym. And I will tell you, it makes a big, big difference just in terms of sustained energy throughout the day. I don't get that afternoon crash anymore because I'm starting the day hydrated versus dehydrated. It's been a game changer. I no longer need to use a pre-workout during my workouts. I don't miss that. I'm not going to say I don't drink caffeine because the first thing I do when I leave the gym is I go to Dunkin' Donuts. I hit the drive-through and I get my coffee. But I'm not putting caffeine, which is dehydrating, already into a dehydrated body, and it's really been a game changer. So
Another thing too, Deb, to chime in on that is when you are dehydrated, your body will crave sugar a lot, right? It's like your body will crave something sweet in order to force you to try to get some hydration in through that route. Like maybe like in nature, it would be like eating some fruit or something, which would also hydrate you, but like it just makes you naturally crave the sweet. So a lot of time when people are thinking they're hungry or they have a sweet craving, it could just be from that dehydration. If you're coming into the morning, like Deb's saying, with that chronic dehydrated state, you're setting yourself up to be eating more snacky, craving those sugary things. And then we all know that once you go down that rabbit hole, it's like you're on this blood sugar yo-yo, right? Because if I were to grab, I don't know, Deb, would you grab like a Pop-Tart? I mean, that's a little extreme. I don't know if adults eat Pop-Tarts anymore, but you grab something quick and then it satisfies that hunger for all of about 20 minutes to an hour, and then you start to dip, and that's when it's like, okay, I need another pick me up, and then you're on this sort of sugar roller coaster. So having the hydration, I think, really helps you with staying full as well and just like being satisfied. So thought that was worth mentioning.
You just feel so much better. That one small habit can really be a game changer in terms of how you feel the rest of the day.
Mhm.
Alcohol consumption, again, alcohol is a tough one. Alcohol can be very, very disruptive to sleep. So you got to be careful with the alcohol. A lot of people, oh, I have a glass of wine at night to relax, or a glass of wine with dinner, or I'll have a drink after dinner. Um, and that can affect your sleep cycle, and that can prevent your brain from getting to the third stage of sleep from the second stage. And the third stage of sleep is actually where you get your rest and your brain can actually rest. And when you have alcohol on board, it disrupts that sleep cycle. And as we all know, we need our sleep, and more so now than ever during this midlife time, our body needs sleep. And you have to learn to really get very protective about your sleep and make it a priority. Sleep has got to be a priority, as does rest, in terms of exercising. If you are a person who typically has worked out 6, 7 days a week, you need to build in rest days. And that's just so, so important. In terms of other nutrition skills, there's a lot of different nutrition skills that we'll cover during the challenge, to help improve bone health and prevent deteriorating bone health as our bone density decreases because of our different hormones shifting. There's nutrition skills, we're higher cancer risk as we get older. So there's things that we can do to help mitigate some of those risks: cardiovascular health, digestive health, metabolic health, diabetes, hyperlipidemia, high cholesterol, and then neurologically and cognitive health. A lot of women complain of brain fog, or I just can't focus, I can't concentrate. I get a lot of middle-aged women who are like, I'm pretty sure I have ADHD. I can't focus, I can't concentrate. Adult ADHD is rarely diagnosed. It can be diagnosed, but it's not as common, obviously, as when it's diagnosed in younger people. And oftentimes it's related to nutrition. And if your blood sugar is low, guess what? You can't focus, you can't concentrate. Hangry is a thing. I had a teacher that I was seeing, and asked him how the school year was going. He had just started the school year, and he's like, "It's fine." He goes, "But I have this third period of kids. They're come in at 10:15, and they're just, I've just never had such a group of kids. They're just, ugh." And we started talking about his nutrition, and he's a get out of bed, drinks 3 cups of coffee from the time he leaves the house till second period. He drinks his coffee in the morning, then he has lunch around 11:30, 12 o'clock. He does not eat anything in the morning. So I said, just pacify me, have a snack at like 10, right before that 10:15 period. And he came back to me and said, miraculously, those kids weren't as bad as he thought. He was just hangry. And he was very irritable. So, when it comes to metabolic health and just neurocognitively clearing that brain fog and being as sharp as possible, being able to focus, concentrate, and emotionally regulate, it's all linked to nutrition.
I do want to talk about sleep too, really quick before we skip to the next slide. Deb talked about not getting to that third stage or that fourth stage, right? The REM sleep is the final stage, right? You've got that light sleep, then you go into your deep sleep. If you're not getting into the deep sleep, you're not getting that REM sleep. The REM sleep is where your body is burning fat, right? Like certain hormones get created, and that is what causes us to lose fat. Human growth hormone, like insulin levels drop, HGH rises, and it's like if we're not getting to those stages of sleep, you're going to be feeling. I think we've had Deb. I think you remember when we kind of got stuck at that one point. It
Yeah.
was like It was like calories were on point, exercise was there, sleep was like really low, and that ended up being kind of a fix. So that allows your body to recover and to create the proper hormones in order to, really optimize fat burning as well. I know that's important. A lot of people, it's you're in an uphill battle, right, when you're getting to this stage, but it's not impossible. These are one of those small details that if you're overlooking it because you're racking in caffeine and you're missing that stage of sleep, or you're drinking alcohol before bed, that can be missing that stage of sleep. These could be some of the hidden things that might be causing you to have trouble losing that stubborn belly fat.
Speaking of sleep, great segue, Craig.
Right on cue. Here we go.
So good. All right. So as Craig started talking about, meeting your sleep needs is huge. And until you're getting the right amount of sleep, you don't realize what an impact not getting good sleep has on just your whole ability to function, to think, to problem solve, to make the right food choices, to be able to exercise, to keep your body safe when you're exercising. It just has such a big impact. Um, there's a lot of different issues when it comes to sleep. People can have insomnia. So just in general, just difficulty with sleep. A lot of people may have difficulty falling asleep, difficulty staying asleep. I see a lot of women in perimenopause having sleep issues, waking up in the middle of the night. I was just doing a class with somebody on Saturday at the gym, and I had to get up in the middle of the night and change all my sheets and my shirt. It was soaked from a hot flash. Like, this is a real thing. So once that happens, now you're up. Now you have to change the sheets. Now you're wide awake, and it's kind of trashed your sleep for the night. Sleep hygiene, I could do a whole like 2-hour thing on sleep hygiene. But it's just so incredibly important. It's something we have control over in terms of just habits. And sleep hygiene encompasses a lot of different things. So it's really, what are you doing that hour before bed? To really start preparing your mind and your body for rest. It sounds kind of cheesy, but it's fact. Like, your mind and body have to know, like, oh, okay, we're going to do this soon. We're going to rest. You can't just, I saw a lady today. She's like, I said, what are you doing that hour before bedtime? She was working. I'm on my laptop. So she's like wanting her brain and her body to go from 60 to 0. As soon as she shuts that laptop, she tries to go to sleep. And she's like, I just lay there and stare at the ceiling for 2 hours. Well, yeah, your brain is so overstimulated from the lighting, the blue lighting on the computer. And then your brain is just overstimulated from all the work you've been doing and thinking you've been doing. And your body just can't, and brain just can't shut off like that. So what are you doing that hour before bed? What are you eating within 3 hours of bedtime has the potential to have an impact. Don't go to bed hungry, because that could wake you up during the night. But also, don't be having a bowl or two of ice cream or half of a coffee cake. Nothing with sugar, chocolate, caffeine within that 3-hour window going before bed, because that has the ability to impact your sleep. Caffeine should be cut 8 hours before bedtime. I know that sounds a little extreme, and some people a little bit longer, because some people are super, super sensitive to caffeine. So something to think about. If you're a person who has like Coke or Diet Coke with dinner at 6 or 7 o'clock at night, and you're trying to go to bed at 10, that could play a factor. If you're eating a real heavy meal, if you're eating a lot of processed foods, if you're snacking on a lot of processed foods in between dinner and bedtime, takes a long time for your body to break all that down. So snacks are good, but you want to just make sure it's something that's easy for your body to digest. There's a lot of sleep aids. I'm not a big fan of prescription sleep aids. I can prescribe them. I don't like to prescribe them. I don't see a lot that are very good and that have a good effect. A lot of my patients get what we call carryover sedation. They're real tired the next day from when they take that medication. But there's over-the-counter things. There's Goli, Goli. They make a great sleep gummy. Comes actually in an extra strength one now. It's a combination of magnesium and a couple other just natural supplements. And I take one gummy a night. I get really good sound sleep. But again, none of the sleep aids, over the counter or even prescription, are going to work unless your sleep hygiene is what it needs to be. So you can't expect to like work all the way up until the time, you want to put your head on the pillow, shut the laptop, take your gummy, and go to sleep. It doesn't work like that. So really working on your sleep hygiene and establishing a really, really good, consistent, because as we know with everything, consistency is key. But a good, consistent bedtime routine is really important. So is it a hot shower? Is it aromatherapy? Is it a podcast? Is it listening to music? Is it playing with your dog? Spending time with your kids, but just again, really low key. Is it reading an actual book, like a paper book, a magazine? um, Whatever that is going to be for you. But really, like I said, taking that hour before bed and very mindfully preparing your brain and your body for sleep. So, along with all the hormonal changes, we're gonna see mood changes, and we're gonna have that fatigue. There's not a woman that is going through really any stage of menopause that is not feeling affected in terms of their mood and their energy levels and motivation. I will say one thing about energy and motivation: they're two different things. So, motivation, it's actually an emotion. It's something we feel. So if I stay up too late on Friday and I have to get up to go work out at say 7 a.m. on Saturday, when I wake up, I'm tired. I don't feel like going. I don't have that sense, that emotion of like, hey, I want to go do this. I want to go lift some weights. No, because I'm tired. So motivation is, like I said, it's not something that just kind of descends down upon us. If your energy level is good, the motivation will follow. But in terms of the mood changes that many women experience during this time, you're going to maybe feel more sad, more down, maybe some depression. Sleep is going to impact that. If you're getting better sleep, your mood's going to be better. Your energy levels are going to be better. You're going to be more motivated. If you're more motivated, you're going to feel more productive and you're going to get more things done. You're going to feel good about yourself. So it's all this snowball effect. Other mood changes that we see a lot of with women going through these hormonal shifts is anxiety. People who were never really anxious before now are feeling more anxious. They're more on edge. Things that never made them anxious before, all of a sudden they're feeling anxious. I talked about motivation and energy, and then body image. Like you look in the mirror and you're like, well, where did that role come from? Or and your skin changes, you have wrinkles where maybe you didn't have wrinkles before. I had a woman today who told me, she's like, I just don't like even going out. Like I used to love to go out, but like I'm so self-conscious. My clothes don't fit. They're uncomfortable. I don't like how I look. I don't like how I feel. So I don't want to go out. Like I'd love to be with my friends and stuff, but the thought of like putting on clothes and trying to make myself look good, I don't like doing that anymore. So there's a lot of body image things that can go along with all these changes that we're going through. And again, if you take good care of your body, you're fueling your body the right way, you're moving your body, you're going to feel better just in general about your overall body image. So as I mentioned way back when we started, meeting your body where it's at, that's like a real thing. Um, I had an older woman. She was in her 70s. I saw her, probably it had to be 10 years ago. She rolled into my office with her walker and I asked her how she was doing. She's like, you know what? She was, I had a thought last night. She's like, I realized that every day I'm just going to show up as my personal best. But I've also realized that that personal best could look different every single day. And she's like, if my arthritis is acting up, if my stomach's not right, depending on what's going on with her husband, because he's very sick, she's like, my personal best is going to look different every day. But if I can put my head on the pillow at night at the end of the day and say, did I show up as my personal best today? And I can say yes, then that's a good day, regardless of what that personal best looks like. And that has always stuck with me. I mean, here I am 10 years later, still telling that story, but it's just something that really resonated with me more so now than ever, because every day I feel is a little bit different. It's like when you wake up in the morning, you're like, what's today going to be? Is it going to be my shoulder that hurts? Is it going to be my knees? Am I going to be tired? Am I going to be sad today? Am I going to be anxious today? Am I going to make good food choices? What's my workout going to feel like? How am I going to manage my stress today? So every day is going to be a little bit different. So give yourself some grace and meet your body where it's at and be okay. And it's becoming okay with that. And again, as I said earlier too, what worked before may not work anymore. I was talking with a friend at the gym, and she's like, I was looking at pictures of myself from a few years ago, and I want to look like that again. And we have to be realistic with what our wants are as far as, like, is that realistic? And why do you want to look like that? Like, what was good about that? Yeah, you look great. She also looks great now, but what was really good about how you looked? Was it how you felt? Was it the clothes you could wear? Like, what was good about that? Not just, I want to look like that. And so this is like a time to really reflect on, to what do you want this journey to look like? And that's a great starting point as you're kind of going to and trying to navigate, because there's so much information out there. We're throwing a bunch of information at you. There's a lot of things you can do to mitigate these different symptoms that we're having as we go through perimenopause and move towards menopause. But it's like, what do you really want this journey to look like for you? Like, do you just want to feel good every day? Like, or the best that you can? Do you want to be able to, if you're an athlete, do you want to be able to maintain, a good athletic pace when you're at the gym, be able to move weights around? What do you want this to look like? And that's, as Craig would say, what's your North Star? And really figure out, what it is you're working towards. And then the rest we can help you figure out. But you have to really think about, what do you want that to look like? And to be like, well, I just don't want to feel like garbage. Fair. None of us do, though, right? So what is it? You got to really drill that down. What does that mean? Like, I want to feel rested every day. I don't want my stomach to bother me every day. I don't want to have pelvic pain. I don't want my knees to hurt. What is it you really want? What are the specifics that you want to work on, to be able to show up as your personal best every day? Strength training, I mean, there's just so many benefits. And it's not about bulking up. A lot of women are like, well, I don't want to get bulky. You're not going to get bulky from strength training. But the benefits of strength training, especially in this stage of our life, is huge. Especially as we move forward in terms of, we have decreased bone density, muscle mass decreases. So strength training is going to help with all of that. Cardio, super important to keep our heart healthy, and keep our joints moving. Rest is so critically important. Like I said, what worked before may not be working anymore. I can't train 6 days, 7 days a week like I used to. I can, and I was 2 years ago, when I actually started working with Craig, and I was overtraining, and it was not doing me any good. And so now I take 1, maybe 2 rest days. And I find other things to do. So maybe I'll walk, or maybe I have a portable treadmill. Maybe I'll, jump on that. So I feel like I've done something. Or if I do want to go to the gym, I'll do something really light. I'll hop on a rower or the ski erg and maybe lift a few dumbbells, just so I feel like I've done something, but I'm not doing the high intensity workout strength training that I was doing, 6 days a week. And then my recovery day, my rest day, was I would go to Orange Theory. So it's really stupid. So I was not serving myself in any way. And when I came to Craig, what I said to him is, I am working out 6, 7 days a week, and I don't feel like it. I'm tired all the time. I'm sore all the time. And I don't look like I'm working out 6, 7 days a week. And so that's why I'm like, something's not right. And I had not started going through perimenopause yet. So it's like, what, I needed help figuring that out. And it was really about more strength training, and dialing in my nutrition. Although I told Craig, my nutrition is fine. I don't need your nutrition help. Thank you, but I'm good. I just need strength training. Craig laughs because he's like, well, and I really think they kind of go hand in hand. I really think you should do the nutrition with the strength. I'm like, fine. I'm like, what does this guy think he knows that I don't already know? I've already had a nutrition coach in the past. Like, I know what I'm doing. Yeah, no. I'm like, I'm 80-20. 80% of the time I'm good, 20% not so much. Yeah, well, I was a little off on those numbers. But it was really about dialing in my nutrition, just getting more specific and really fine tuning, and working out less, but really looking at what I was doing when I was working out. And it was game changer. And then joint and muscle pain. Go ahead, Craig.
Before we move on to that, I just want to say one of the things that we really stress that Deb's touching on, I just want to highlight, is setting up your North Star with these 5 layers of why, and getting clear on what you actually want. Oftentimes you're doing what you think is going to get you a result, and that may be something you heard. It may be something you saw on Instagram. It may be what you did when you were 30 instead of 50. And so the path is really, really important. This is where we could come in as coaches and guide you. Like Deb said, like what she thought okay, from what she had identified what she wanted and what she was doing to get there were not actually aligned. What she thought in an uneducated state was the most important was not. So by you getting crystal clear on what you actually want, that allows us to then customize a plan for you so that you have the appropriate amount of volume, the appropriate amount of recovery, the appropriate amount of stimulus, and where to put your emphasis, right? Like Deb said, she wanted to strength train. She thought that was the most important thing. I know from working with thousands of people, that's really irrelevant. It can accelerate the process slightly, but if your macros, if your calories are a little bit off, like you're just wasting your time working out really hard. You know, same with her going hard at CrossFit 6 days a week, right? She doesn't need to feel the burn in order to look like she works out a lot. She needs to get some strength work in to make sure she's building lean muscle so that when she loses body fat, her body looks toned. But if she's just doing a bunch of cardio and jacking up her cortisol levels for 6 days a week and never having time to recover, and she's kind of paying attention to her nutrition, but not really, she's never going to really get to that spot that she desires. So by switching the emphasis from the workout piece to the nutrition piece and getting laser focus on the details there, she can get way more bang from her buck. And it's funny because it seems like the working out hard, it's like, well, I'm doing the hard thing. And I think that's where a lot of people fall short as well. I'm doing everything I can and it's not really working. I'm trying so hard. I'm doing so much. But are you doing the right things or are you tricking yourself by doing these hard things that are actually easy, right? Anybody can go to the gym and run on the treadmill for a little bit. I can get my body all lathered up with a CrossFit workout, but the hard thing might be eating 128 grams of protein every single day for 7 days in a row, right? Eating a can of tuna when I don't really want to. It may be going to bed early when I don't want to instead of watching the show. It may be saying no to the glass of wine that 120 calories times 6 days is what's causing me to gain a pound of fat each week instead of lose a pound of fat, right? So it's finding out what truly is the thing that's going to move the needle and then identifying that and then executing on it. And it's usually black and white. It's just not often what we think it is. So again, just putting in my pitch for the mindset piece and the North Star and why it's worth it to work with, someone like Deb, myself, Coach Julia, where we've gone down that road, we can help you kind of get alignment across your life, right? Why is it important for you to be really fit and healthy and feel good? Well, how does that affect your relationship, your job, your body image? There's purpose, right? There's these other areas. If you just have one, I want to be skinny, and that doesn't align with who you want to be as a person or your marriage or then it's going to be this outlier that requires all this work that you're not going to do, right? You're going to do the thing that gets you to the goal that you want across all of the areas. So that's all I got about that, but that's super, super important. We don't want to glaze over that. We want to kind of make that our first stop, and then we want to dial in the nutrition, and then we want to get a workout plan.
Well, I'm just going to say one quick thing too, because I was that person who I thought my nutrition was like pretty good. And, I spend quite a bit of time with my patients talking about exercise and nutrition and hydration and just self-care and sleep. And a lot of my patients, I would say, so tell me about your nutrition. How do you fuel your body? How would you describe your overall nutrition? That's the question I ask. And a lot of people be like, pretty good. And I'd be like, all right, awesome. So do you eat breakfast every day? No. When's the first time you eat for the day? I have a sandwich like 12, 1 o'clock. And so, to Craig's point, like what we think we need and what we think we're spot on with, we might not be. So it's just, and it can be super helpful once you kind of figure those things out.
Yeah.
Next. Water. Water is our friend. So half your body weight in ounces of water is a good goal. There's no magic, oh, you have to have 8 cups every day or A good number to shoot for is, if you're 200 pounds, aim for 100 ounces a day. Dehydration, as we talked about earlier, is going to have an impact on lots of different things. It's going to make us crave those sweets. It's going to affect our energy level for sure. It's going to have an impact on how your blood circulates if you take any type of medication or you take supplements. If you're not hydrating well, the supplements, the medication doesn't effectively get where it needs to be because it's affecting your circulatory system. Um, good hydration means that your liver is going to be flushing out toxins, that your kidneys are going to be metabolizing medications, supplements, the way they need to. And so it's really important, not just for energy levels, but just overall functioning of your different body systems as well as your different organs, that you hydrate well enough. And coffee doesn't count as hydration. People ask, well, I drink coffee. But yeah, and they're like, well, it's made with water. Yeah, but the caffeine sort of negates that water. So it doesn't really count. All right, let's talk a little about supplements. People always ask, are there supplements I can take? And as we all know, there's so many different supplements out there. I just have listed a few here, and during the challenge, we'll spend one of the weeks talking in more depth about different supplements. The thing about supplements is that it's not a one size fits all, and there is a little bit of trial and error when it comes to different supplements, because you have to try them to know if they're going to work for you. Some supplements don't work for people. Some are like, wow, that's a game changer. One of them is melatonin. So some people have really good success taking melatonin and helps them with sleep. Other people take it, they're like, it does nothing for me. So some of the ones we have listed here, I start with the 5-HTP, which is your 5-hydroxytryptophan. And that helps increase our serotonin levels. We talked about serotonin earlier being that feel-good neurotransmitter. So it can help with mood. It can help with anxiety, and also can be helpful for hot flashes. So I can just share with you personally, I started taking 5-HTP because I was having hot flashes. It came like out of nowhere, and I started taking the 5-HTP and they went away. And I can tell you my mood is way better. I'm not feeling as like anxious about stuff. I just feel a little more level. Same thing kind of with the sadness and like that low mood. Like I feel like sad today. I don't know why I feel sad. Well, because my hormones are doing something and it's making me feel sad. And the 5-HTP again has been really helpful to sort of level that out. Vitamin D, very effective for, again, I said mood and energy. If you don't take a vitamin D supplement, you should get on that like now on September 16th, because we're going into the months with the shorter days, less sun. And most of us in the Midwest are deficient. And if your vitamin D level is low, your mood's not going to be great and your energy level is not going to be very good. Vitamin B12, same thing in terms of energy level. If your vitamin B12 level is low, or it's insufficient, your level is insufficient, you're going to feel that in terms of energy. Magnesium is real helpful for sleep. It can help with muscle cramping if you get muscle cramps. Again, hormonally, there's a lot of things different things going on. If you're not hydrating well, you might be getting Charlie horses. I went through a period where I was getting really bad Charlie horses. It was when it was really, really hot out. When we had those days where it was like 100. And I was getting Charlie horses every night and realized I needed to add some electrolytes to my water. Straight water wasn't cutting it, so I added some electrolytes. That helped. And I also was taking some magnesium, and those went away, so that was helpful. The magnesium can also help decrease hot flashes, and can also help prevent osteoporosis and help fight off that low bone density that we're faced with as we get older. So that's a good one. Ginkgo biloba helps with libido. I had 2 more patients try this. So I think I've had 3 patients over the past like 2 weeks. I've been recommending it more. And women are coming back to me saying it's really very helpful. They're enjoying sex again. Their libido is better. So again, something worth trying. Also very helpful for memory and cognition. It can be helpful for that brain fog. if you're experiencing that. Creatine is helpful for bone and muscle health. It helps build bone mass and density, increase your muscle mass, can also decrease inflammation. Inflammation can be a very real thing, and can be super disruptive. So it also helps with our hormones kind of going up and down, up and down. The creatine can help level those out a little bit. The omega-3 fatty acids help with joint pain, can also decrease your triglycerides. So that's helpful when it comes to cardiac health. Ginseng, again, really good for mood, can be helpful for sleep. Black cohosh helps with hot flashes, with the night sweats, also with vaginal dryness. Fiber is going to be key, just to, again, make sure that from a bowel standpoint, we're more susceptible to constipation with all the hormonal shifts. Fiber can help keep you regular. And it's a critical part of just every day, is that making sure you're getting enough fiber. And if you're not getting it in your diet, make sure you're supplementing. And I will say it's super important that if you have any type of medical conditions and you're taking any type of medication, make sure you check with your physician first before you take any supplement, because they are supplements. They're not FDA approved, and there hasn't been a lot of research done on supplements when taken with prescription medications. So just be cautious with that. You can move to the next slide. Maybe. There we go. Tracking, Craig's favorite thing. It's so powerful, though. So helpful. So, and just in
Get managed, right?
pardon?
If it's not measured, it doesn't get managed.
That's 100%. And it just helps you really kind of understand yourself. Because, if you're not tracking, I tell my patients, okay, I truly do not remember what I had for lunch yesterday. Like, I would have to sit here for a hot minute, let alone if I say to a patient when they come for a follow-up visit, how's your mood been for the past 3 weeks? They're not gonna be able to tell me. So I mean, something as simple as that, but it's the same thing like with your nutrition. Like, you don't realize what you're putting in your body till you write it down and you track it and you're like, oh, I had 3 handfuls of candy corn today, because I keep a bowl on my counter at Halloween time because that's my thing. People think it's gross. I love candy corn, but like, having it out and every time I walk by, I grab a handful. Well, that adds up. So just being mindful of those things, and you won't realize that till you actually start tracking. Um, I'll let Craig talk to you about tracking. It's just, I can tell you, it is a game changer, and you gain so much insight about yourself and your habits, and find where your opportunities are once you start tracking. It's so telling.
Yeah, we usually try to start small. If you've never tracked your food intake, I mean, this is like the biggest rock, especially if you're trying to lose fat and you're reaching this stage in life and you're a little bit frustrated because what you used to do doesn't work anymore. Usually as your metabolism changes, as you lose bone density and muscle mass as you age, your metabolic rate actually decreases. Your body gets used to doing activity, so the activity you do burns less calories than it used to. It's just a lot of factors. So learning about the quality of the food, like Deb talked about at the beginning, but like the quantity of food is critical. There's really only one way to figure that out. It's to track it. I mean, it sucks. We're not going to sit here and sugarcoat it. It's not something that you need to do for the rest of your life. It's just something that you need to do for at least I would say anywhere from 6 to 12 week stretch, right? Something that you need to add as a skill set and a tool in your toolbox to be able to understand when you're fueling properly and when you're not. And then on top of that, we have these 8 pillars that we're showing you. Each of them has a metric that we can track. We can kind of go through them one at a time so that it's not overwhelming, and add one in each week. And if you like it, if you notice a difference, then you can continue to track it, or you can just take the data that you gain from it, from tracking it for a short time, and make adjustments. And then knowledge is power, right? Getting the data gives you knowledge, and it gives you the power to make decisions. That's really why the tracking is important. So again, to not beat the dead horse, but yes, it's an extra step. It requires bandwidth. It requires you to invest, but it is one of those, I think, biggest bang for your buck investments that you can do is to just record how you feel, what you're doing, what you're putting into your body, how much you're sleeping, how much you're drinking. Like the more you do that, the clients that we've worked with over the last 10 years to get the best results are the ones that don't mind putting in the work to track, because they can make those adjustments on the fly and they get results a lot faster and they get better results and they keep them longer, because once you've done it for a while, your body just knows. So,
I think not just from a nutrition standpoint, but I'll just share my example of my sleep. Like I was only getting like 4 hours of sleep. And Craig was like, "What? Why are you only getting 4 hours sleep?" I'm like, I don't know. I go to bed at like 11, 12 o'clock every night, and I get up at 4:30 for the gym. And Craig was like, "What are you doing before, like in the evening?" I'm like, I don't know. So I actually started writing down what I was doing every evening between like 8 o'clock and 10 o'clock, like what was getting in my way of going to bed at a reasonable time. Like, what important things was I really doing? And I found I was doing really nothing. I was cleaning out a drawer. I was organizing papers. I was going through a pen case, like just stupid things. And what I had realized through doing that exercise, I had realized that I was actually procrastinating going to bed because it was right after my daughter had left and moved away to school. And I was all alone in the house, and I was so used to going to bed with her noise in the background, her TV on, her talking to a friend, her listening to her music, her clicking on the computer. I always had that noise, and I realized how I started to just hate that time of the day because it was just dead silence, and I just would lay in bed with my thoughts and miss her and think of this. It was, and I didn't like it was so quiet in the house. So I was like unintentionally actually procrastinating going to bed. So I set an alarm for myself at 8:30, and just kind of the habit that once that alarm goes off at 8:30 p.m., that is my time to know, okay, Deb, you have an hour. Get your stuff together, and in 1 hour, it's bedtime. And so then I found different things like the Calm app and things so that I wouldn't have the quiet, and trying to just find ways to make that bedtime so it wasn't so like miserable. And it was a game changer. But had I not really kind of written all that stuff down and really looked at it and reflected on it, I don't know that I mean, because I struggled for a while. I'm like, I don't know why I'm not going to bed earlier. I had no reason.
mhm. Yeah, we talk a lot about the different emotions, and Deb even talked about back a few slides about your mood. And so it's like finding those triggers allows us to then create a new story, to rewrite the path, to basically overcome. And if we just keep our head in the sand, you're not giving yourself the opportunity to change. So, um, shining light onto it through tracking and through exposing it allows us to make changes. Well, that kind of wraps us up. I mean, those are our pillars. What do you think, Deb? We're getting ready to start our 8-week challenge. This is our second call. So we've already done one call. If it's something that you feel that you want extra accountability, if you want a deeper dive into any of those specific topics that we touched on, again, Deb tried to do like the high level overview, so we can be respectful of your time. But all of these things on our next challenge, we will go into a little bit more of a deeper impact of what each habit has on you in this stage of the menopause game, because we're going to go through how it affects everybody, and then we're going to highlight in how it affects you specifically. So it can be, I think, extremely valuable to take these habits that work for everybody, tailor them to your experience, and see if you can get results. If you've been stuck, if you've been frustrated, I think being in an accountability group, and as well as having expert coaching, as well as having people that are on the same journey with you inside of a network. It's just like, a lot of it is just um, staying motivated in the fight and having people that are by your side for the ups and the downs. Like Deb said, it's like the doctors will just give you the doom and gloom. We're not here to say, hey, that's all bullshit. Like, we know it sucks, but when you embrace the suck and you realize that there is possibility to lessen the symptoms, to improve, like, it's a breath of fresh air and it's like a little crack of light in a dark, depressing time. So that's what I'll say is when you're going through, for my guys, when we do our men's groups, this will be women's only, but when we do our men's groups, we call it like a wolf pack, right? It's like you have a group together. If you're out straying off all alone, it's very easy to get picked off like animals in the wild. So they travel together, right? If I'm just like one person, I can fall down and get hurt. I can, have somebody else take me out. But if I have strength in numbers, then people can pull me up when I'm feeling like crap. I can encourage others when they're feeling like crap, and together, our efforts, we can go a lot farther. So if you want to join us, text Deb, text me, email us back at the confirmation email. We'll get you information on a group. We'll do phone calls and applications and stuff this week, go over pricing, logistics, and what it takes to get started. But yeah, we have apps, we have workouts in person. We can do it all virtually. If you're not in the Naperville area, that's fine. We can still facilitate any of the trainings and any of the exercise stuff virtually as well. So yeah, Christina's got a comment. Let me see if I can unmute you, Christina. Go ahead. You gotta unmute yourself if you can.
Hello.
Hi, Christina. We can hear you. What's up?
Hey. Hi, Debbie.
Hello.
Hey, Coach. I'm gonna say this without trying to cry, but your very first words, just being a victim of our menopause and how overwhelming that is when you do feel like you've done everything. But now I see what me not being at the gym, it's really, my body's really hurting even more now.
Yeah, and again, it's about meeting your body where it's at, right? And it's like every day it's going to be a little bit different. But yeah, and again, just to sort of go back full circle and what you're bringing up, Christina, we don't have to be victims to this. Like, there's a lot of things that we can do that we have control over. I mean, we can't control what our hormones are going to do. It sucks. We have no control over that. But what we can do is we can control the different things that we do to help mitigate some of those symptoms. It's going to make them all go away? No. Is life going to be rainbows and unicorns? No. But it can be a lot, I don't want to say easier, but a lot more manageable. And I have also found too, if you have people around you that are going through the same things, it helps a ton. I have a group of friends, they're younger, they don't get it. And then I have a lot of women that I see at the gym who were all going through the same thing. And like I shared the example on Saturday, the one woman was like, oh my God, couldn't sleep last night. I had to get up and change my whole bed. My sheets were soaked, my shirt was soaked. And it's like, I feel that, and so having that support and that camaraderie as we go through this together, it just feels good.
Thank you. Thank you for sharing. Thank you just from sharing from a part of a personal standpoint, but also just, giving us options too, not just chalking it up. It is what it is, and that's it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I definitely am interested, and I would like to talk further regarding what are my steps.
We'll have someone reach out to you, Christina.
Yeah, we'll get you in a group, Christina. Even if you can't come to the gym, we can still go back to our weekly calls. I know you used to jump on the calls and stuff too. Those are helpful, even if you can't make it to the in-person gym, but they'll be, like Deb said, we'll be able to meet meet you where you're at as far as exercise wise. So
Mhm.
yep.
Yeah, let's talk, Coach.
Okay.
Thank
Cool.
you. Thank you,
Thanks,
everybody.
Christina.
Bye.
Roxanne had commented in there too about the supplements. We use a company called Thorn Labs. They have a ton of different stuff. That's where Deb got the 5-HTP one. They have a couple different magnesiums that are really good. They have digestive enzymes. They have aminos. They have like anything you can really think of. It's like medical grade. They work with a lot of like doctors, naturopaths, chiropractors, and because we through the CrossFit, we get like a discount of those as being like CrossFit coaches. So those are great. And then we
They have a
also
whole, sorry, Craig, but they have a whole menopause. Like it's the 5-HTP, reverse the cell, and something else. It's 3 bottles to address like all the different menopause symptoms. They're multivitamins also. They come in a packet. I think there's like 7 or 8 pills in the packet. It was a little overwhelming at first, but game changer. There's an, I think, an iron pill in there. There's omega-3s. There's, I forget what's in there, but it's really great. And I didn't take them for a month because I'm like, I'm going to take these for 2 months and see if it makes a difference. I wasn't sure if it was making a difference, and I didn't take them for a couple of weeks. And for sure, it made a difference. My
That's good to
digestive
know.
levels better, my energy levels better. And their thought process behind having so many like pills in the packet is that you're getting the actual concentrated forms of the different things versus everything smashed into like one multivitamin. And I do think they're better.
yeah. Which one's that, Deb? I might order that for Jen. That sounds good. Because I like those packs from First Form too. That's what I started taking. And I noticed, like we talked earlier, like I noticed I couldn't really tell a huge difference when I took it. And then when I cut it out, I'm like, okay, I can actually tell a
I
difference.
lied. It was First Form.
That is okay. You're talking about
That is
yeah.
the menopause packet though. That is Thorn with the
Okay.
5-HTP, and there's 3 different things. But yeah, the First Form vitamins, they're awesome. And they come already like in this little bag, so you can
Yeah.
just grab them. And there's no excuse to not take them because you don't have to like dump all these bottles. They're already in a little bag. I take them and grab them there in my work bag or whatever, my gym bag. So they're
Oh,
good.
that's very helpful. This is obviously I'm in the early stages. My blood work indicates that, oh no, it's not there, but I'm gonna tell you what I feel.
All right. Right.
It's I'm like, you're full of crap, sorry. So and it's like with the supplements, I'm always hesitant because there's so many that's filled with just junk and it's not even in there.
Right. Yep.
And I have learned a ton about overtraining tonight because I am that person. I have been kicking my own ass and then some, and I feel like garbage, but yet, okay, I'm still going to push through. And I honestly learned today that I'm doing probably more harm than good. And like the sleep thing is killing me. I feel like I have a newborn baby again.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like the hell no, this is not what it's supposed to be. So and I am going through this with a few of my close friends, actually a few family members, all of us, and it's we're all in the same kind of vicinity of it, and people look at us like we're crazy. I said, I'm sorry, I don't know why this is such a taboo like subject. Nobody talks about this.
No.
It makes people uncomfortable, and I don't know why, because it's natural.
Yeah.
Every woman's gonna hit it at some point in
Exactly.
time. And so it's like I make like a huge effort to talk about it with them. And I'm like, you guys, I'm on a Zoom call tonight. Let me tell you about it. So I appreciate you guys doing this and kind of taking the stigmatism away from it. A lot of good information.
If you're interested in reading, it's a really fun read. And again, this is something else we'll talk more about, but Menopocalypse by
Okay.
Amanda Thebe is a great book. She's a fitness specialist, but she talks about her journey going through menopause.
Yeah.
And it's like sitting down and having like a glass of wine and talking nitty gritty, like menopause stuff with her. And she does not sugarcoat anything, but it's really well written. It's very informative. And she talks a lot about let's meet your body where it's at. So she's not
That's a big phrase. That holds a lot of weight.
yeah. So it's a great book, really great book. It's a fun read. So
Thanks.
I tried to spell it. It's probably wrong.
you did, that was good, Craig.
No.
That's spot on, actually.
All right. Well, if anybody else has any questions, comments, concerns, let us know. Otherwise, yeah, reach out to Deb. Happy to have you guys join us in the challenge. We'll do trainings like this each week and record them if this time slot is not great. But usually it'll be a lot shorter. We'll go for like, I don't know, 15 minutes of content and then like 15 minutes of talking, which could easily stretch into, 45 or an hour, depending on how many people are on and how deep we get into it. But we usually try to go for at least like 30 minutes total. And then, just it's kind of go through the weekly struggles if you're learning how to do some of these pillars, right? Like learning how to count macros, learning how to work out properly, learning how to go to sleep, like getting your sleep what's the word, Deb? Your sleep
Sleep hygiene.
yeah, getting your sleep hygiene down, getting your morning routine down so you can get your water in, what to eat. Like we just kind of go through it step by step, and then each step kind of builds on the next one, and so it's less overwhelming. So
Mhm.
that's all I got for now. Deb, you got any other closing remarks?
No, I just appreciate everyone being here tonight.
Yeah, appreciate you guys hopping on. Deb's email's up there, phone number, text us, email us, and we will help guide you through this fun stage of life.
Oh, it is something. It is something.
That's right.
Thank you guys so much for doing this, Deb. It was great to see you.
Good to see you too,
Very
Roxanne.
long time, and thanks so much.
Absolutely. Reach out if you need anything, okay?
Will do. Have a good one, guys.
Thanks.
Bye-bye.